You're 3, go wipe your own ass, you know, like go get your own clothes on, go make yourself a sandwich.
Go brush your teeth. You're not a helicopter parent.
No, like I'm almost the opposite. You always say, well, if you're not going to make your own dinner, like
every woman for themselves in this house, right?
Yeah. I feel like it is building resilience. It is building independence.
Character.
And yes. And I feel like kids just don't have that these days.
Hi, I'm Dave Tina.
And I'm Angie Tina.
Welcome to the 10-Year Marriage Podcast.
On this podcast, we answer the question, what if your marriage came with a 10-year contract?
How would you show up if there was a deadline in your relationship? What would your life look like in the future? And how would you recommit every day?
Come with us on this journey as we navigate as partners, entrepreneurs, and parents in this big life we've created.
So we're going to tackle this issue today. This topic, I even started with issue.
Because it's definitely a very forward-facing issue for us right now.
The parenting game.
Yep.
You know, as much as I like to overcomplicate things, when I give parenting advice, I keep it simple. I have 2 rules. You remember my rules?
No.
Make sure...
I probably should, but I don't.
Make sure, I think you do it really well. Make sure that your kids know that you love them.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you have to tell them 5 times, tell them 50. Like, I even make it a game. Like, you know, who loves you? I've said it to every single kid we've had. Gigi plays this game so well, right? Who loves you? She's like, Daddy, Mommy, Ella, Lola. And then she'll say Gigi, which is beautiful too, because you need to love yourself. I think it's really underrated. Just communicating that I love you. I think, of course, parents love their kids. There's something about hearing it over and over and over and over again and expressing that unconditional love. Mm-hmm. I'm always hesitant to talk about my parents because I don't want them to feel bad or good. But I think this is a compliment to both of them. I know both of my parents loved me and loved me. Mm-hmm. But my father was very communicative with it. My mother was not. It doesn't mean one loves me more than the other, but because of the communication, I've had some issues that I had to work through with my mom. And there's no doubt in my mind she's loved me deeply, but it just came out in a different way, sporadically, emotionally, whereas my father was just consistent, almost suffocating sometimes, right? Yeah,
you almost had that relationship when I met you, that it was like you guys were kind of crutches for each other in a lot of ways.
Very codependent.
Yeah, and that's the word I was looking for.
It could have easily, we had to make sure we had our boundaries, right? And so, number one, love them so hard that they have zero doubt. And I think because it's connected to number 2, is they need to know that no matter how much they screw up, no matter how much they fail, no matter how disappointed they are in themselves, because they're going to screw up, they're going to go through some hard times, that they know that we are there for them. And I think it's hard for a child to truly believe that unless they feel that unconditional love, because it's unconditional love without strings. God forbid one of our kids hurt someone really, really bad or killed them by accident, because I doubt they would ever do it intentionally. Like, I would help, hide the body. Like, there's no doubt I know people joke about it, but like
extreme. I agree.
But I think it's an extreme. Like, they need to know. I think this level of communication is why kids and parents have issues, is that, I'm not going to hide behind the thing that I know my kids are going to have sex. I know my kids are going to do drugs. I know my kids are going to make some mistakes. I did. You did. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to double down on that mistake because they don't feel comfortable talking to me about it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing that we have, is them telling us the truth, being very open with them. I mean, going back into our childhoods, I think that's where I didn't feel safe, is having the conversation or having the communication. And I always felt loved as well, same thing. But I think that's one of the biggest things I talk to, especially Ella, about right now, is like, listen, like, we want you to have your first kiss. We want you to experience. We want you to have fun with your friends. But we also just need to know what's going on. We want to be the first person you call when you're leaving a party and you may have had a couple drinks. Like, get an Uber or whatever. I mean, you even with drugs, we're like, hey, call me. I'll tell you which ones to take, which ones not to take. I mean, and a lot of people would look at our parenting style as that and be like, what in the hell are you guys doing? Like, how could you? Like, don't let them do that. They're going to fucking do it anyways, it's like, if we can be the support system for them, that to us is more important than trying to control the narrative where they're going to experience and have these situations happen regardless.
I think you need to lean in. And, you know, it's tough for me because, you know, we've done some other episodes where we're so aggressively certain that this works for us that it makes people feel like it's convicting them. And it's not, right? Like, this just works for us. But because I feel so certain that this works for us, that it's going to come off that way. I want, especially girls, and I'm not trying to be sexist with this, but the girls are the ones that can get pregnant, right? And there's trafficking. There's a lot of things. There's a different game. I mean, boys are their own issues too. But I want all these things to happen while they're still in my house rather than when they're out on their own. We could just pretend that they're not going to have sex. Or we can lean in and be like, I know they're going to have sex. Would I want it with weird protection, if there's going to be it or not, in a shitty hotel or at someone else's house or in the back of a car? I'd prefer it happen in my house. And so maybe I'm being a little controlling, but like, if we're out of town or we just know that weekend and we know what's going down, I'd rather that happen on my watch. I'd rather she be open about the pros and cons and have expectations. Like, she already knows, both of them know, that I'm like, in my perfect world, you're in high school, you've been dating the guy for a year, and it isn't just a conquest, and you actually love each other. So at least you can look back and go, my first was done with beautiful intent. Even though it's puppy love or whatever, like, at least you have that. Now, I can't control everything. But I'd rather it be that than their first weekend at college or some frat party being hammered and someone sleeps with her. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And so maybe we're too out there about it. Same thing with drugs. Like, I think it's important to have conversations because they're going to be exposed, and drinking and things like that. I think the worse you make it and the more taboo, the more they're going to go towards it. Like, some of Ella's friends, like, she's so open, are going to be fucking wild.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the thing, is you don't want to go to one extreme or the other. Parenting is just so crazy because nobody does it perfectly. Nobody does it right. We talk about like how our kids are going to grow up. They're still going to have issues with how we parented. And they're still going to remember that one time that mommy blew up or daddy and mommy did this, or we gave them too much slack that it turned them into an addict.
What are they going to say about you?
I mean, I can say more about what they're going to say about you than what they're going to say about me.
All right, fine. I'm open for it because I got yours pegged too.
Well, yeah. I mean, Ella kind of says it sometimes now. Both of them will every once in a while. They'll be like, oh, you know, daddy, he can't handle the kids or whatever. Daddy wants to sit on his phone and on the couch or something. And
you sure it's not you saying this? Or?
No, they say that all the time.
Very interesting.
Yeah. But why? What are they going to say about me?
No, I think that's not what they're going to say about me. I think they're going to say my father was the one that was like less concerned about some of the small things, but then overdid it on the big
And they're going to
things.
say the opposite about me. They're going to be like, mom was a nagger and was telling like all these little things, but she never followed through. They've told me that to my face. And, you know, we knew we could get away with it with mom.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's been proven that, you know, if I say this comment, this is a coaching comment, everyone answers it immediately. You ready? Which is the one, your father or your mother, the one that you had the complicated relationship with? You don't have to answer it.
No, I know, but
everyone has an answer.
Yeah, but I don't have a quick answer. I have answers to, which I've worked on this in therapy, but which one did you want? Which one did you try to like make proud?
That is another one.
Yeah.
So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So regardless, all three of our kids it's going to be one of us.
One or the other. Yeah.
Right. We could be the perfect parents. And so just accepting that, you know, you with your brother and sister, you have different experiences in the same household.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. Like my dad, he has 2 sisters and 2 brothers. 3 of them had one perspective of how
they were raised. Yeah.
And the other 2 completely different.
Yeah.
Like 3 of them are like, my grandmother was like everything to them. The other 2 are like no good. Mm-hmm. They were in the same house.
Yeah.
Right. Same house, different perspectives. And so if we just lean into that and go, no matter what we do,
it's going to be their frame anyways.
Yeah.
And it is wild because even my grandma, who was like my like role model and this like perfect person in all of my eyes, like my aunts were like, oh no, she was a total bitch most of the time. You know what I mean? Or she was really hard on us for this. And I was like, no, she never treated. And she's like, they always said that's because you're her grandchildren and you're not her kids. And I was like, what? Yeah. Totally different perspective. And even like, I mean, there's a 4-year age gap between me and my sister. And I could see how my sister was parented differently than they parented me. I mean, I just knew it, you know? And I knew that like there were certain things. I mean, she was definitely the one that tested the limits. And I was the one that was like, oh God, I want to do everything right and don't want to make anybody mad. But there's so many situations where I was like, she was the one getting yelled at, or she was the one that was kind of under attack in a way.
Yep.
You know, and it was just like, but it's wild too, because even the difference of my parents, very, very different extremes. Like I feel like you and I parent fairly similar. Mm-hmm. My mom and my dad parented very differently in my perspective. And even though my dad was like the strict, the consistent, like we didn't want to piss off dad because God forbid, you know, or it was like you get a spanking after church after you mess around in church. Like I don't even remember the times that he blew up, because my mom, when she did, it was like a freaking bomb went off, and it was like, holy shit. Like when she stopped on the highway and was like, get out of the car. Like those are the times I remember, because it happened so rare.
Yep.
And so it's wild that like, even though my dad was technically the more strict of the two of them, I remember the times with my mom that I got in trouble more, because they were more like, oh my God, like I didn't expect it. Yeah.
There's a bigger difference between.
Yeah.
But then I'm sure they parented different when they were together versus when they were separated.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into our parenting, right? Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of us that we lasted to 13 years old with Ella to get a phone.
Yeah. Same.
And we can spend a ton of time on why kids should have phones and shouldn't have phones, or social media.
Yeah.
But what I liked is where I don't think we have the same parenting styles, but I think we have the same values, if that makes sense. Because you're more likely to give in and friend zone them.
Yeah.
You're kind of in the middle. This is why it works out so beautifully. Like I am like the extremes and you're steady Eddie, right? You know, the phone is an interesting game because it's such a rite of passage for these kids, right? They just holding the phone. It's like the Starbucks and the phone, right? And the conversation was like, all the other kids have it. And, you know, it's the same trope over and over again. Well, I don't really care what the other parents, but a lot of parents give in. Like there were friends of ours who were like on the path with us, and then all of a sudden their kids got the phone.
Totally.
Right?
And who knows, with Gigi, we may just give in because she's our third kid, and
Possibly.
we're like, oh, here we go, you know?
Possibly. But it was a deeper conversation. You know, Ella, I think, communicates fairly well. And she was like, when people ask like what kind of parents you have, she'll say in one end that they're like the coolest, but on the other end, they're the strictest. Mm-hmm. And it's tough. It's almost like that tough love. I don't think enough people do this. And I think this is kind of uniqueness for you and I as parents, friends, leaders. We'll give you the world, but we expect it back. And that's where I lose my shit.
Yeah.
Like I will give you everything, but if you don't respect me, I will blowtorch you.
Yeah.
And so I know I have to do a better job, but we're cool about having these conversations, and we can be open and they can feel comfortable and we could talk to them like humans, but our standard for them is higher.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's different and difficult for a kid, but that's how I was raised. My dad did this on purpose. I think your parents did it because out of necessity. We both had to like grow up fairly quickly because our parents were divorced. Mine from the get-go, and then my mom went to Texas. Yours at an age where you were right in the pocket, so you had to kind of do your own thing. So we were forced. And so I think that's what we do with that's what we do with our kids. Right.
Before, there were definitely times where our kids are very independent. I was never the coddler, I'm very affectionate with them. I tell them all the time how much I love them. I have fun with them. I laugh with them. I'm super engaged. But I also do not like, you're 3, go wipe your own ass, you know, like go get your own clothes on, go make yourself a sandwich.
Go brush your teeth.
Go brush your teeth. Like
you're not a helicopter parent.
No, like I'm almost the opposite, probably on the other extreme, right? Where
But they better figure out their own food or they're not going to eat.
Well, that's what you always say. You always say, well, if you're not going to make your own dinner, like you're not going to eat
Every
tonight.
man for themselves, every woman for themselves in this house, right?
Yeah. And my argument back to that is that I feel like it is building resilience. It is building independence.
Character.
And yes. And I feel like kids just don't have that these days.
And they can have conversations with adults.
Right. And, you know, that's where I think it's hard for me to kind of wrap my head, like when our kids don't respect us or when they take advantage of us or when they talk back or, you know, not even that we have this authority over them. But like I've told our kids many a times, like, listen, I don't have all the answers to parenting you. I don't know half the time what the fuck I am doing. And it is hard and you will not understand it until you're a parent. That I think is just the answer. Like we parent differently because of how we were parented, you know? Yeah. And like we may be doing it completely freaking wrong. We don't know. But I believe that what we're doing right now, or at least when we're conscious about what we're doing and we're not exploding one way or the other, I think that's
for everyone listening and watching, that's like a subtle passive aggressive dig at me for exploding. But continue.
No, I explode just as much. Okay. I think it's about like, sometimes I literally tell Ella and Lola this. I'm like, sometimes when I'm driving in the car with you and I'm singing and we're singing loud and we're just being crazy, I literally feel like I'm a teenager with you.
Yeah.
And it's weird to be like, holy shit, that's my daughter. Wait a minute. I got to be the parent, you know? And I think that we don't do that often enough to be like, okay, we're just all figuring it out too. Like we are all kind of stuck in these different time frames of our life and we're just doing the best we can.
I think that's fair. I think if we go back to the foundation of love and you know, support, respect. I mean, I think about the relationship I had with my father. Mm-hmm. It was many different roles, right? We were business partners. We were father, son, almost like brothers. You know, he was the best man at my wedding. Like, it was just the two of us for a while. So there's a lot of roles you play and there's a lot of balance. But that love, and even with my father, which is so ironic, I think you do this too because you're a lot like him. He has hard times with boundaries with people in his life, but not with me. Mm-hmm. He'll go to war with me.
Yeah.
And I'm the one he loves the most, which is wild because there's a standard and there's a level of accountability that he demands from me as his son that he doesn't demand from anybody else, which he should probably be doing. Sorry, Pops. He should probably be doing this across the board.
Right.
Right. As well, you've gotten so much better of your boundaries, but you have that same level of respect, accountability, and expectation from me is what you have to have with your kids. It can't just be love, 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 friendship. I'm here, you know, without the tough part. Mm-hmm. And even though that ratio is 5-1, right? I call it, you know, the 1 punch and the 5 hugs because that's how people take it to counteract it. There still needs to be the punch. There still needs to be the truth, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like and there's a way to do it, right? There's a ton of different ways, but if you don't hold them accountable, you're setting them up for a total failure. And I'm not judging what other people do. Well, I guess I am. I look at other parents and I'm like, I'm just not willing to do that for my kids, to cater to them. And maybe I'm wrong. I just think that that's setting them up for unrealistic expectations.
Right.
Like one of the first things my dad say to me when I was a kid, and this feels like such a generational thing, I'd be like, it's not fair, Daddy. And he would be like, life's not fair. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a harsh freaking thing to say to a kid.
Yeah. Well, and it brings up the point where when we were in the car one time and we were talking about our childhoods and just about like, you know, getting us to move here and certain things that we've gone through. And I think it was Lola that asked.
Lola was maybe 8 or 9 when she said, I remember where she was in the kitchen.
She was like, you know, do you have to have a hard life to be successful? And it was like, holy shit.
Very self-aware, but then also being an aware parent or coach, leader, or dad. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, Lola, but you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you got to be
willing. Which was a great answer.
You got to be willing to throw yourself in it, right? Like the nature versus nurture study. Right. I'm just thinking about this. I didn't do the research for it, but there's a study where they separated triplets at birth on purpose. Mm-hmm. And they were raised in 3 different households. One, like a really demanding, like strict, rich family, but like not there and demanding expectations. One in a poor family. And then one in like a middle class, but like very loving. And these three identical twins ended up completely different The environment you're in is what matters. So every time that I'm concerned that we're doing it wrong, I'm like, at the worst, they're going to become you and I.
Yeah.
And if we're committed to being who we are and we're doing it right and it works for us, then they're going to become you and I. We look at our friends' kids, they're
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a kid's an
They're
asshole,
little mirrors.
the parent's an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That is interesting. Because am I my parents?
yes, in some ways. You're in a lot of ways the best parts. Like, think about your mom. The best part of your mom, I hope she hears this, is she's a lot of fun. She's down to do a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
She
I
always
have
is
all
doing
of her mannerisms.
the scavenger hunts, and like, she's down for a good time.
Yeah.
She's always open for that stuff. That's the best part of Peggy.
Yeah.
Right? And you have a lot of that.
Yeah.
Of you, like, you're like, let's go, let's do something, let's get going. Like Peggy should be doing that all the time.
Yeah.
The best part of your dad is he's super intelligent and he's a true man and he has great values. Like,
Yeah. He's practical. He likes adventure. Yeah.
I mean, look at my mom. My mom is super intelligent.
Yeah.
Very, very smart. Right. My
Really
dad,
creative.
yes, artist. My dad is like the most empathetic and fun and optimistic and like values and integrity. You are who you are. It's just, are you getting the shitty part or the good part?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
You look at all four of our parents. You know, they're all attractive. They're all successful in their own right. They all did certain things. Like, I'm not embarrassed of our parents. There's things that I'm sure that our kids won't be in love with the way we do.
Oh,
right?
totally.
And so let's talk about environment a little bit more, right? So here we are, we're in the pocket with school. And one of the ways that they become resilient, and I had a little guilt and shame around it, and you gave me great perspective on, is especially Elle and Lola have been in how many different schools and situations? So they
6.
They started at TBS, right?
Yeah, we've been
to walk us through, TBS is a Jewish school.
Yep.
Then they were at
Day
school, which is just a normal private school. These are all private schools, by the way.
Then Dawson.
Right before the pandemic. And then we transitioned them into Goolsby, which is a public school. And now they're in...
And then they did a micro school.
I almost
We had them a
forgot.
micro school during COVID.
So a micro school is almost like homeschooling with other kids, and you hire teachers.
Yeah.
So which there was kids from like 8 years separation all in one school.
Yeah.
Right? And then now they're in a...
And then they went back to Goolsby and then at Faith Lutheran.
They're in Faith Lutheran. So when people are curious in the Las Vegas world about the best situation, and with the irony, and no offense to any of these schools, I'm not particularly impressed with any of them.
Yeah. There's things we love and hate about all of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. There's not one that we're like, you have to go here under any circumstance. It's the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's at least one or two things in each one of these.
That's also how we feel about education in a lot of ways, though.
Fair.
Yeah.
And I would not want to be in an educator's position right now. So that's a great way of covering our ass a little bit on that. But bringing them in and out of that many schools, a lot of parents would be like, yo, you're not doing
What are you doing? You're ruining them.
And what do you say?
I mean, I think it makes them adaptable, and I think that it's the best thing for them, you know? And Lola fights it for sure the most. She hates change. Like, she freaking hates it. And yet she's the one that, you know, first day of school, she's puking out the side of the freaking
tell the
school.
Faith Lutheran story. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, she was first day of middle school, or first week of middle school. She had a first day, it was like a shadow day. And then the second day was like the actual real day.
Didn't she have the shits on the first day?
No, she threw it both times.
But she was coming out both ends, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I remember.
Maybe.
Because one, she puked in your car. Then we had to drive around the street. She was screaming at us all. It was wild.
Oh, she was screaming. Yeah. And then like first day of 6th grade, I pull up and I'm in the drive line. And so all the kids are like getting out of their cars, walking past her. I had given her Pepto-Bismol that morning because we know for sure she's not sick. We know it's
100%.
her nerves because we don't send our sick kids to school. That's a whole nother episode. But
I think it's worth talking about. Let's get there.
I give her Pepto-Bismol, and like literally no sooner does she open the door, she's projectile vomiting Pepto-Bismol. It's coming, pink is like coming out of her nose. I'm like, you're going in there and you're going to slay this day. I'm like wiping it off of her pants. She's like, okay, Mom, I'm going. And she freaking did it. And I was like, that is resilience. When I so could have easily at that point, I had a crossroad where I was like, I could have just taken her home and been like, it's okay, baby.
Kind of like we did with the gymnastics.
Yeah. And, and let her fully succumb to that anxiety and what was going on. Instead, I was like, dust it off. Yeah. And go slay the day. And she came back and was like, I had the best day.
Lola, and that's the thing. Amazing. Lola's me, right? And
yeah.
That's the story. My dad took me and Charlie and Stephanie took my best friend Eddie to Disney World when we were 9. Mm-hmm. And everyone talked about Space Mountain, especially like kids. It's the only trip I think I've ever went as a child. So we're in line for Space Mountain and it's dark. I didn't realize it was dark. I start freaking out. I'm like, I'm not going on this ride. I'm crying. I'm screaming. All of us are waiting online. We get to right before we're next to get on the line, to get onto the ride, and the friggin' thing breaks. Like, you know how they have these little maintenance things. And I'm like, I got out. And then the lights come on so you can kind of see what it looks like inside.
Which would be crazy to see, but okay.
It actually helped me out. I didn't realize it because you could actually see. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, well, we're not going to go on this ride. Boom, lights go out and it's fixed. And I'm like, shit. And so I'm screaming. And my dad... And some people would say this, and this is how I became a dad, and this is what you do too. We're very aligned in this. He goes, you're getting on this ride, and if you don't, we're leaving Florida right now. We're getting on a plane, and we're flying home, and this trip is over. Mm-hmm. I didn't come all the way to Florida for you not to go on this fucking ride. We go on the ride. I white knuckle my way through it and end up loving it. And then from that point on, there was not one roller coaster that was too scary for me because I wanted to go on every one of them. Yeah. Now, that's a crossroad.
Right.
And I said in hindsight, he's like, Dave, if you hated it, at least you tried it. But look, you loved it and you became a roller coaster junkie. That's back to the tough love.
Oh, 100%.
Now, how hard that must have been for him.
The parents that give in, which again, this isn't even a judgment, but I think it's an overcorrection. The parents that just give in and are like, oh, okay. Or, they're self-diagnosing their kids with everything or whatever. I feel like they're just setting their kids up for this victimhood or this like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to be uncomfortable. I don't have to experience that. When it's like the other side of that coin, because there are people in this world that are going to hear that and are going to think that's like
I know.
Child abuse.
We're so we had an episode drop where people get in the panties in a bunch, and so I feel like
I don't think you should be
I don't think you should be apologetic about that. Like that's what we believe.
I'm not being apologetic.
And I believe you are setting yourself up for kids. I don't think our kids are going to be super hard because of that. They may have some somewhat traumatic experience. Well, life is fucking traumatic. Like you're not. There's no protection in this game. Like you're either going to be soft and weak and a victim, or you're going to be resilient, or you're going to be a bully. Like you don't want to be.
Because there's the extremes on every
exactly.
Every level.
And so I see where you're going with it, but I don't think parents should do it themselves. And we don't win this game all the time. We give in on some shit that I'm like, shit, I shouldn't have given in on that.
100%.
But it's hard.
Yeah. Or sometimes we go too far and we're like, oh shit, maybe
which I did
have done that.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. And so right now we have 3 different ages. Ella's playing I'm only going to hear what I want to hear. And it infuriates the shit out of me because I feel like she's lying. And my trigger is if you don't tell me the truth and you don't respect me, I go from like, give you everything. So I'm just going to pull. And then I overdo it and I get super resentful. Overdo it, Dave. I don't do anything fucking halfway. Right. And so.
That was going to be my question is like, what's your proudest moment of being a parent, and then what is the parenting moment that you just are like, oh, I can't believe I did that? Like parent fail.
The fail is always when I lose my cool. Mm-hmm. Like that's just, if I coddle them too much, I know like I'm accountable enough where I'm like, all right, probably shouldn't have let them eat that, or I shouldn't have bought that because you hate it. I buy. They shouldn't even be Christmas and Christmas and birthdays because the amount I buy for it.
Yeah.
You get pissed off.
You spoil them for sure.
I do spoil them. So I never regret that. I don't think they're spoiled shits. Although with Gigi, every time we come in, what do you have for me? It was probably
she is kind of a spoiled chip, but okay.
She could be spoiled for sure.
Yeah.
Very demanding. My biggest regrets or failures is when I lose my temper. I just don't like that in general in life. And I know it's a form of anxiety. It's a form of validation and significance. And I just don't like that about me in general. And And the last people in the world I want to do that to are the ones that I love the most. And those are the ones most likely to get it. You know, you, and especially four girls, for one woman and three girls, like, I don't want that. So I beat myself up a little bit on that. Mm-hmm. I try to give myself more grace and just be like, I'm so loving. They know you love me, but I don't want them to remember me as that. So that's, as far as like the proudest moments, I mean, when Ella got in trouble at Faith for not having her clothes, and that dean was being really intimidating, and she was like, call my dad. And he was like, aren't you scared? Like, isn't he going to be mad? And what she said to him is one of the most proudest moments. She was like, I didn't disrespect anybody, so my dad's not going to be mad. Mm-hmm. I was like,
that's powerful.
And then I got on the phone with him. I was like, why is my daughter scared? Well, sir, I was like, I didn't pay all this money for my daughter to be intimidated.
Mm-hmm. By a grown-ass man.
These are your rules. And whether I agree with them or not, I signed up for them. So I'm not asking you to change your rules. But my daughter's not going to be intimidated. And then I said, I'm done with you. Give my daughter back the phone. 15 years ago, I would have said, I'm done with you and I'm on my way to the school. Yeah. So it's good that
so I'm
relaxed.
Now.
And I also, listen, and here's the follow-up. When I picked Ella up, after I dropped off her clothes, because she was getting an infraction for not wearing clothes, so my kid could be a robot, and, you know...
yeah, don't go down that rabbit hole.
Fucking started. I said, Ella, if you want, I will go down the rabbit hole completely, but it's going to end with you not going to the school.
Right.
So you either, like, deal with the rules...
deal with the consequence, or...
and stay at the school, or not. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I want to stay at the school. That's the first. So then this is over. Like, and that's an adult conversation.
Yep.
So yeah, that was my most proud. How about you?
My most proud moments are, I mean, there's different pockets, and you know I have the worst memory possible, but my most proud moments are like when we are just, all four of us are just singing in the car and having so much fun, and they're laughing and they're getting along, and I know I'm creating like an environment that's like happy and fun. Love that. And I also love, like, there's been moments with each of them where it's like I stop whatever I'm doing and I know that I need to hold space for them, and I go and I sit in their rooms and I let them talk, and I let them talk about whatever it is, you know, like Ella, it's boys, and it's like, oh, but you know, don't say anything because this is what's going on, or this is the text message or whatever. And Lola, it's just holding space for it all, because half the stuff she talks about, I'm like toning out, but I'm trying to like understand what she's saying.
She's in a unique age, and she's
just about to hit, and she's just about to hit puberty. So that's, you know, but when I do hold space for her, it's great. And Gigi, it's the cuddling and like the just really paying attention. The moments where I'm like, I just beat myself up about is obviously not so much when I explode, because I do explode, like, the crazy demon that lives deep within my soul comes out and like shows its face.
Exorcist.
Yeah, pretty much. The moments that I'm like, God, I shouldn't be doing this, is when I'm being a hypocrite. When I'm like, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm scrolling or I'm doing something.
Or don't eat this.
Yeah, not even that. It's more of like how I spend my time, you know? And it's like I see them like observing what I'm doing, and it's like, here I am being like, this is going to ruin your brain. It's making you dumber, you know, or whatever. That's and fair. I'm doing the same fucking thing, you know? And it's just
let me give you maybe an external proud moment. I think the thing you should be most proud of is that you're the living embodiment of an example of what they should be. And what they're getting an education and an example every single day of what it is to be a modern day woman.
Well, thank you.
No, it's the truth.
Well, thank you.
To be able to have it all, to be able to be feminine, to be able to be a successful woman, to be able to also treat a man a certain way, and I wouldn't say allow, but like even empower you to be strong and me still being the man. Like, they're getting a masterclass on how to do it. So just by living example, because we could say everything we want, the truth is they're going to do what they see. And so those are little things. Yeah, there's a hypocrisy there, but the intent is right? Don't do this. Don't do as I say, not as I do, right? Yeah. But ultimately, who you are essence-wise, they get that. Because my goal is to be the man that they want to marry. You get to be the person they want to become.
Yeah. And one of the other things I'm most proud of with us is like, I just love it when we're kissing or we're making out in front of them and they're like, ew, but they just have this big smile on their face. And
Well,
then Gigi comes in like, I want to do it too. You know, like,
she's like, come on, let me get in. And then she makes everyone else get in.
Yeah.
How about, I'll tell the story then. Ella is in the makeout stage, right? And so she's so freaked out. She'll make out with her hand, right?
Yeah.
And
which we all have done.
I
made out with my hand and my teddy bear when I was a kid.
And she's having the conversation with us.
Yeah.
And people are going to think we're fucking nuts. And she actually was like, can you guys kiss just so I could see? Right.
Yeah.
And so here we are kissing. She goes, ew. And I was like, that's not even like a real kiss.
Yeah.
Right. So
you're like, just a little tongue, just a little. And she's like, oh God, I can't believe this is happening. Yeah.
But
and I kissed her. I made her kiss me, not like make out kiss, but she was like talking about, well, if this, I just want to peck. And I was like, okay, well do it to me. And she's like, okay. So she did it. And I was like, yeah, okay. But you got to like, kind of, you know, and people would think that that's so freaking weird. But like I kiss her on the lips all the time.
I also she
I still kiss my dad on the lips. Like, I don't think that's
so
weird.
she thinks, she had that thing in her. She kept saying Hennessy, remember? And then I was like, well, go fucking try some Hennessy. Right? Like,
it was like an inside joke. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't give her a cup of Hennessy, but I was like, try it. You know what I mean? I say the first time you smoke weed is not going to be with your friends. It's going to be with me. And I don't even smoke weed, but I want to, it's
but
legal.
It'll be fun.
Exactly. And I want, so I think we're very open with it, but there's an accountability attached to it.
Right.
I don't think we do everything right. I think we're somewhat doing this pretty good.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how they turn out.
The odds are one of them is going to have some hard times.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I've had some friends who've dealt with kids like with drugs and, early kids, there's going to be some tough times. Mm-hmm. But I just want them to have every tool and be equipped.
I think the most important thing that you and I have to do is really just having each other's back, but also being able to, if I don't agree with you, probably not in front of the children, but afterwards be like, hey, like I really didn't agree with how we handled this or whatever. I think that that's really important because, there were times, not anything in particular that I can remember, but there were times where my dad would hold us accountable and my mom would be like, oh, don't hurt him, don't hurt him, don't hurt him. And not that did anything to me, but you were just saying even yesterday when you were exploding, like, I just need you to back me up because it almost makes you even more upset when I'm not validating or agreeing with the situation.
In that case, I was elevating it because I was like, shit, not that you weren't backing me up, but like now I'm really going to have to come even bigger and stronger because she's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And so I agree. Communication skills on that are huge.
Yeah.
All right. Final takeaway. You tell me.
My final takeaway is that nobody has it figured out. We're all doing the absolute best we can. And I feel like our children are kind of growing up with us. And so they'll figure that out when they're parents and they'll eventually go through that. But I think that it's all just part of life in this process.
I agree. I concur. And I'm going to go with what I started with. Tell them you love them 100 times and then 100 more. And then make sure they know that no matter what, you're there for them. In the hardest of times, you're there for them. Love, 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 love. And then make sure that you don't forget to hold accountable. Mm-hmm. I think if you simplify it like that, there's no perfect, but you got a really great shot to have a great outcome.